Unsighted is about a lesbian robot who wants to save her lesbian robot girlfriend. You load into the game, and you see the character designs, and one of the automatons is fat, and one's buff and has a pixie cut, and you think, oh, I see. Lesbians made this game, and you check the dev's Twitter to confirm, and you go, oh, Brazilian transbians made this game. That explains everything. There's a trope I and others have noticed in modern media that I haven't seen a name for, but I like queer by committee. You know, you're watching Marvel movie 29, and a man says the word husband, or Disney announces their 400th first gay kiss that's on screen for about 15 frames, or there's a conventionally attractive lesbian couple, or maybe even a conventionally attractive passing trans actress is there, and her character is never stated to be cis or trans. It's pretty cool. Passive representation is good. I agree, it's at least better than nothing. But these are all queers by committee, grown in a test tube to offend as few people as possible while cashing in on the public's shifting opinion of formerly degenerate freaks. If you're lucky, they'll have some agency in the plot, but they're all the same safe, monogamous, purely gay, or purely trans character. You won't see a puppy fail girl with multiple personalities and a fetish for papercraft tars whose special interest is military history and its influence on Gundam and Warhammer. Which is kind of a shame. We've had enough popular fail sons in media that I think there's a niche to be filled here. All this to say, it's just nice to see queer people represented in a way queer people want to be represented. And if you're the puppy fail girl out there, please call me. Okay, now that I've scared away all the straight people, I'm going to talk about Unsighted. Unsighted is probably the best top-down action-adventure I've played in like 20 years, and I don't know how well Minish Cap holds up. Combat and upgrades are pretty obviously inspired by Zelda, but the world is set up more like a Metroidvania, to the extent that there are achievements for beating bosses out of order. More than once, I got stuck in a dungeon only to look at my map and realize the items I've collected would let me into a new entrance I couldn't access before. These aren't your typical one and done, get the item, beat the boss type dungeons. They're directly built into the world. You'll go back through them frequently while exploring. I'm sure another game has done this at some point before Unsighted, but Unsighted released years before Elden Ring or Tears of the Kingdom even tried the same kind of open-air dungeons, and Unsighted implements them better than either of those other two. The items are all pretty great. The blasters function as both weapons and tools, and they implemented Twilight Princess's spinner phenomenally. Better Nintendo did. The spinner functions as a tool for solving puzzles, breaking rocks, and a skateboard for quick traversal. Even after you run out of telegraphed spinner use zones, the spinner is still a great item just for getting around quickly. There's also the shuriken, which functions as a stand-in for the boomerang, and the hookshot, which functions like the hookshot. Later on, you'll be able to find and craft shurikens with elemental properties for exploration, but I didn't need to do any of that. There are a bunch of tricks for getting around. These are true Vania items too. All upgrades useful for progression come from items found in the environment, except the couple you craft. Overall, I like the equipment in this game, but I wish there were more variety across the melee weapons. I always feel bad asking for more out of indie games, and they're already packed with content, but I wish there were more to the weapons design-wise, at least aesthetically if not mechanically. Every light weapon is a short sword or broadsword, every heavy weapon is a great axe. I'm a great sword user and I walked away from Unsighted disappointed by the weapon selection, especially after seeing the weapon merchant's fuck you Jodachi. The guns have a good amount of variety. Some are slower, some are autos, some are weaker or stronger. Different melee weapons can have different elements too, but they're more useful for traversal than combat. They inflict unique status effects that are useful, but I just equipped whichever had the most damage, and I felt like the game provided a good challenge. Not just the combat either, the puzzles and exploration are both pretty hard too. Traversal on its own is surprisingly tough. There are so many fucking monsters between point A and B, and finding a quick, safe route is integral to survival. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but there's a secret wall jump you can use to traverse the world a bit more easily. I found a few small skips in my couple playthroughs, but I'm certain I didn't find all of them. Try it out yourself, okay? There are actually a ton of secret mechanics, a few of which I probably still don't know about. I'm not going to go over them all because they're secret and I want you to play the game, but if you want to know about them, you can probably Google like Unsighted secret mechanics or something, although one of them is just so useful you'll probably see it in my footage anyways. During my first playthrough, I thought the game was actually pretty damn hard. I died a ton of times to most of the bosses, I got lost while exploring, almost ran out of time once or twice, but on my second playthrough this game's kinda piss easy. You can parry any melee attack, there are multiple ways of trivializing puzzles in areas that are normally difficult, and I decided to equip more chips that focused on dealing damage rather than staying alive. You can tear through bosses in just a few hits by stacking even just a couple damage boosting chips. Early puzzles are pretty easy, but later on they get stupid hard. Pixelpunk fucking loves their sliding block puzzles, especially on ice. I spent actual real hours in the secret dungeon shifting the same 4 blocks back and forth until I finally solved those fucking puzzles. Oh yeah, there's a secret dungeon with a whole secret boss. You need to complete it to get to the secret ending, but I had to do it myself. I'm not showing it off because I want you to do it too. I'm not the biggest fan of Unsighted Story, but it kept me engaged enough to see through both endings and not skip any cutscenes, either playthrough. Unsighted shines more in its character writing than its narrative. Every character, the player character Alma included, is on a time limit until they run out of life-giving anima and they become unsighted, losing their sense of self and becoming the mindless, hostile machines roaming the city. Throughout the world, you'll find special meteor dust that lightens up time limits, and you can use them on any character. If you do this with an NPC, your relationship with them will improve, but it's a pretty shallow mechanic admittedly. The rewards for reaching the max relationship with most NPCs is usually pretty good, so if you're loose with meteor dust, you can get endgame equipment within a few minutes. Or maybe you want to use them on whatever characters you think are cute. I don't know. Not your fucking mom. It's not often a game so thoroughly illustrates such an oppressive atmosphere with such cute designs, blurped. Alma's time limit appears literally every time you enter a room, and everyone else's time is constantly visible while you're talking to them. Every single character is fully aware of their impending doom. As their time runs out, they become more afraid of their own death, and they're genuinely grateful that you would sacrifice time that could be yours to add to theirs. I really like these character designs. The majority are humanoid, but there's a few freaks and weirdos throughout the city. They're all portrayed in stunning pixel art, but the high standard Unsighted normally holds itself to makes the, less pretty parts feel that much more gratuitous. The NPCs are all surprisingly endearing too. I feel about Iris the same way most people feel about Navi, and I was fully intending on letting her time run out during my first run, but when the time came I couldn't help myself from giving her some meteor dust. A mistake I won't make a second time. Oh, jeez. Although the time limit isn't particularly strict for Alma herself. Unsighted used a pretty standard system of 60 seconds in real life equating to 60 minutes in-game, and you start with roughly 360 minutes, or 6 hours. In-game time doesn't pass during conversations, cutscenes, while fishing, or while paused, but the doggies you can adopt throughout the world might get sleepy, and you have to drain 3 of your precious hours to appease them. Like real doggies, they're worth the trouble. They can attack enemies nearby, even no clipping through walls to do so. The doggies won't play the game for you, but their extra damage is pretty nice, even if they don't pull aggro. My first playthrough, where I did everything important to the story, took a bit over 7 hours according to in-game time, but Steam said I played 15. On my second playthrough, I beat it in only a day with about 8 hours of footage. All of these are solid playtimes for how well built the game is, and frankly, I can only play so many 150 hour long RPGs, each with 3 different kinds of grind in a single year. I need a good, clean, quick game every now and then, you know? The short game length is more of a feature than anything. Unsighted is a speed game with everything that entails. Pixelpunk wants you to try out stupid shit. They want you to develop a familiarity with Arcadia, they want you to abuse parries and chips, they want you to give Ariel 3 meteor dust to get the elemental blade within a few minutes of starting the game, and they want you to know the difference between the mechanics you can ignore and the ones you need to understand to save time. Unsighted is a game that's meant to be replayed. The first playthrough was fun, but the rest are a fucking blast. The developer studio Pixelpunk is working on a new game, a 3D Metroidvania presumably also about lesbians, but it's unclear currently if they're robots. Just looking at the Steam page, it's obviously taking some inspiration from Mega Man Legends, which is a good sign in my book. Okay, just go buy the game now. I'm done. That's it. That's it. It's the end of the video. Unsighted is probably the point where I started getting sick of the term Souls-like. It's both very reductive of Unsighted's excellent design, and Dark Souls isn't even the clearest inspiration. Any game with a stamina bar is a Souls-like, any game with a dodge roll is a Souls-like, any game with a sword is a Souls-like. At this point it's a meaningless moniker that doesn't tell me anything about what the game is like. Don't even get me started on Metroidvanias.